Друзі, привіт! My name is Polina and I'm here with Razom for Ukraine. We're celebrating the North American premiere of Razom Cinema's newest Grantee documentary film called Dad's Lullaby, directed by Lesia Diak. And today we're also joined by one of the main heroes of the story, Nadiia. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Може, я там був весь час, що я був за когось відповідальний, може, мене це зламав, що я вже втомився за когось бути відповідальним.
I want to start with just where the movies always begin. It's from the idea, it's from the inspiration. You both had a very long journey with this film, with this project. It's a very personal and one of the most vulnerable pieces that I have seen in a long time. Thank you for highlighting the importance of the subject of mental health, family relationships. And Nadiia, thank you so much for your strength, your resilience, and your open heart. I know it takes a lot to share such personal stories with the audiences. Let's go back to the beginning. Where did this idea find you? How did it find you? And how did you find each other?
Hello everyone. I'm thanking you for having us here and for giving this chance to our film to be closer to the audience in the United States. Well, it wasn't an inspiration that pushed me in creating Dad's Lullaby. It was a personal pain of being with someone who came back from war and not being able to maintain that partnership, that love. It was the biggest love of my life, and my ex-partner wasn't a trained soldier. He was an artist in civil life, but he had to join the Ukrainian forces to defend Ukraine. And I was working on long reads about war veteran spouses. I spoke to wives of veterans and soldiers, and this was a healing experience for me, of course, and I wanted to bring this experience out there because there was such lack of support in the society as the war was raging in the east of Ukraine, and it was not like the whole country into this context. The most affected ones were the beloved ones who were welcoming their husbands or wives, and it was heartbreaking for them. They didn't have tools how to cope with this. So I decided on making a documentary. I was lucky to meet Nadiia, who is extremely brave, and I still remember our first meeting in a cafe when the non-governmental organization that supports adaptation of war veterans, the Center for Free People, introduced us, and she shared her story briefly. But even in that small moment, I felt, well, we are on the same wave, like we are different. I'm working on films, on advertisements, and Nadiia is an accountant by her profession, financial assistant now, but we were very close in our way of thinking and feeling this world.
How was it like collaborating with Lesia? I know cameras are intimidating, especially when they're consistently present around your family and with your young kids, and sort of getting used to also this new person who you've opened up not just your heart but your home quite literally to. So how was this experience for you, getting to know her, getting all of your family members, finding sort of this cohesiveness in how you're telling the story and being able to open up?
Отже, на той момент, коли ми вже зустрілися з Лесією, у мене було, певно, декілька місяців проживання досвіду дружини військового, і я вже спілкувалася з такими ж самими, як і я, дружинами, мамами, навіть доньками, так. І я розуміла, що наразі в нашому суспільстві зростає оця прогалина, що має робити родина, так? Не лише для підтримки, власне, чоловіка, переважно чоловіка, який воює, але й для підтримки своєї родини. тому що це все одно переважно діти, і мами, і батьки, і так далі. І я також шукала вихід з цієї ситуації. І, до речі, в нас був доволі успішний проєкт, який ми започаткували на волонтерських засадах дружини України. Дружини України, але, звісно, це було для всіх жінок, дотичних до військових. Так? І ми потихеньку вчилися самі і допомагали сім'ям. І я дійсно бачила, що наша допомога працює. Бо, ви знаєте, кожного разу, коли жінки, дівчата приходили на наші зустрічі, я бачила, як змінюється їхній погляд, як на їхньому обличчі постає посмішка. І це було надзвичайно важливо. Ми залучали на той момент всі можливі ресурси волонтерські, в тому числі ізраїльських спеціалістів і психологів, тому що в нас була повністю відсутня ця культура. І щодо того, і звичайно, коли Леся проговорила свою ідею, мені було це важливо показати. Насправді це нелегко пустити будь-яку людину так, в своє життя, тим паче, це дійсно такі інтимні, дуже приватні речі, але я розуміла, що нам потрібно з чогось починати, так? І, власне, це був початок, пропозиція Лесі. Перший час було складно. Постійно, на той момент ще чужа людина поруч, і ти все одно відволікаєшся. Але Леся дуже емпатійна і сама по собі така дуже, напевно, споріднена душа для мене. Тому через деякий час це вже не була чужа людина, це людина, яка стала другом не лише мені, а й моїм дітям, що теж важливо. І ми перестали помічати Лесю. Тобто вона робила свою справу, а ми жили своїм життям.
Perhaps there was, and this is for both of you, perhaps there was some sort of an idea or some hope maybe of where the story can go when you first met Serhiy, when you first started, meeting the family, observing their lives, having these conversations. So how has that sort of vision changed from what maybe your initial idea was of what this film could be to what it is now, what we're seeing on the big screen?
I started the film research in 2017 when Serhiy was still on the front. And once he came back, the atmosphere in the house became much more intense. And this material felt stronger. And in a way, I decided to shift the focus from the people who are waiting for the war veteran to how the war veteran is trying to make connection with them. Because it coincided with his return. He returned home, and our film is mostly taking place on 2018-2019. I wanted to make an observational documentary. I wanted it to have a different ending, especially when the couple shared that they are expecting a baby daughter. I felt like, okay, there is this sense of difficulty of raising 3 boys for them, because these boys, they are also absorbing the trauma of their father. They are starting to behave a little bit like him. They become not so patient with each other. And it's very complex, like how the trauma of one person is interfering with the lives of everyone in their family. And my hope was that with the arrival of a daughter, it will be a happy ending. It will be a different dynamic. It will be very hopeful. So I was like navigating my personal pain through observing their dynamics, and I believed in it. I remember very well this first day when they brought the daughter to their home. It felt so euphoric for Serhiy, For Nadiia, of course, it was different. Like, I observed her struggling a lot, and she was also with this burden of physical pain after giving birth. But I really believe that they are going to stay together, that they will keep the family, the nuclear family, together. So, of course, I was trying to pre-edit the film because this helps to enhance it. I wanted to make a great movie, and I decided to go abroad to gain experience, to gain connections, to study. I studied directing, but I gained a lot of experience in producing, and I managed to attract partners in Croatia and Romania who helped me to edit and to finish the film and to bring it finally to its end. Of course, when the new editor from another country joined the project, he had his own perspective. He was mostly relying on non-verbal because he didn't understand Ukrainian. I was translating for him the dialogues, but it was powerful to work with him because he felt something that I didn't feel as a person, and also I was super attached. I loved them, like I was idealizing them. I was uncomfortable with showing some bits of their lives when you are like, okay, these people are struggling and they are exposed and well, they are lost. Basically, they don't know how to be patient with each other, how to give love for each other. It's difficult when you are overwhelmed to be there for the children, for the husband, for the wife. It changed a lot. And it's always like this in documentaries. As a film director in documentaries, you're probably aware how challenging it is and how the film is completely different by its end from the original idea.
There's always something that comes up and you're like, oh, well, this needs to be added, but then it's like, again, like, what is the mission, what is the message that we're trying to say?
На мою думку, фільм вийшов таким, все-таки, як то кажуть, Леся вбила двох зайців, так, показати і трішки життя родини, але все-таки в кінці сфокусуватися на ветеранові, так, на чоловікові. І так, на жаль, закінчення нашої історії не таке щасливе, так, яке б ми самі хотіли мати. І ви знаєте, я постійно думаю про те, що якби в мене була якась допомога протягом тих 3 років, ментальна, так, в першу чергу, бо в мене якось так виявилось чоботар без чоботів, так, тобто я доволі успішно допомагала іншим жінкам, і маючи цей вже досвід, чомусь це не спрацювало в моїй родині, так. Якби в мене була якась така підтримка, що могла би полегшити, так, моє життя без чоловіка, то, можливо, закінчення нашої історії було б більш щасливим, з хеппі-ендом. Але виснажені були всі. Чоловік виснажений по-своєму, я, звісно, виснажена також. І так само і діти, вони так само мають, як і я, і чоловік, посттравматичний стресовий розлад. Єдине, що психологи називають, що в родини він вторинний, оскільки ми не можемо вплинути ні на що, так? Тим не менш він є. І саме ось це важливо, напевно, що родині потрібна підтримка і на цей час також. І я сподіваюся, що все-таки ми зрушимо цю гору і почнемо діяти і допомагати родинам.
Absolutely, and I think this is, your movie is being one of the hopefully many steps that are individuals, organizations that are taking towards sort of building the systems that will help rebuild our society as well. You know, war will be over, hopefully it's soon, but our people are still going to need the support and work through all the traumas. Actually, I want to go back to something that you've mentioned. So you've gone through various labs, you've gotten through a lot of gained support and also expertise from international filmmakers to help sort of shape the story as well. Can you talk about what that experience was like in terms of your editor obviously not being able to, doesn't speak Ukrainian, so were there some challenges that those type of collaborations were presenting, where, for example, sometimes it's much harder to really sink into a story when you're not feeling it on your own skin, and here you are presenting something really touching, right? So how do you battle between you, the filmmaker, you, the Ukrainian who's trying to tell the story, but also take in sort of perspectives of international people to make sure that the story is then received by those folks outside our borders?
When your film is not done, it's very fragile to show it to other people. And not all people have a tendency to give constructive feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we had to get used to different types of people giving their feedback. And of course it was painful at times. But it shaped me to get this skin, like an extra skin, and to present our project, especially the workshops I participated for pitching sessions. It helped me to speak about my personal film, where I am also a character, a woman who was heartbroken, who was abandoned and had depression. But I took a distance from that, and I was able to verbalize it in a comprehensible way for the audience. So it was very, very helpful. There was one particular workshop, Dokorov Cat Boutique. It's a workshop founded by Rada Sečić. She is a Bosnian director and curator, and she had a personal attachment to my film, to our story, because it's a story of a lot of war veterans also in their country. We had some people from Hungary, from Bulgaria, who didn't fully understand this experience of war veterans, and they would watch the film as a family story. Like they would watch the film and say, it's immense challenge for this man to live in such a small house and to take care of all the children, to bear the noise. But despite I was not feeling so comfortable with this feedback, I was open enough to receive it like in a positive way and to listen to them, because even these people who didn't connect fully to the story of war veteran, they were giving incredible ideas. Like one of them said that what if you show the reaction on children's faces throughout the film more often when he is struggling, and then we see the like a mirror on the kids who are absorbing the emotion and are reflecting the same way as he, and they are wondering what's going on with him. So there was a lot of editing, a lot of writing. Writing also helps. Of course, it's boring part of our job, but I need to be honest, like 95% of my job is writing applications and making sure that the funders understand what the project is about, so they trust it and they support us. And then we received the grant from DocSub Fund for the impact campaign. And now I'm searching for the partners. I am already collaborating with you and with Columbia University, and I'm really hoping that there will be more partners coming in from Ukraine, from other countries, and we will bring our film to the audience. Our film is a raw family portrait of trauma that is affecting Nadiia, her children, her husband. And it's not a big budget film, but it's authentic. It was really, there was a strong need to make it. It was not like my artistic ambition, but my human ambition to be a better human, to understand the one who comes back from war and to forgive him, because I myself I was very angry with my ex-boyfriend until I had a dialogue with Serhiy, who told me how overwhelmed he was, how when he came back he just wanted to be alone because there were so many demands and so many responsibilities, and he was craving for these moments alone. And of course the losses, my ex-partner didn't tell about the losses. When Serhiy mentioned that there were comrades who they were literally collecting the remains of their bodies in the bucket, and of course this is like mind-blowing. So it was a journey for me, and I hope that I'm now a better human. I hope that we all are and we are aiming there, but the war, it has this very dark side to it, especially the aftermath of war. And we believe with Nadiia that this film is aiming for educating the audience in a long-term perspective and opening the space for them to feel something, what is to come. Of course, the situation changed now. It's a larger problem in Ukraine. Now everybody, like a lot of people, have mental health difficulties, diagnosis, post-traumatic stress disorder, and we are just incredibly dedicated to hear them, also to hear their stories and to work together.
Absolutely. And again, it takes strong women like you both to make these steps to connect with the audiences and be vulnerable enough to create the space for us to have these very vital conversations. I want to ask more from sort of a director's decision perspective. So, you know that you have an incredible interview with Serhiy. I wonder, you know, it's intercut sort of with somewhat B-roll of the everyday kind of life, and we're watching him progress with the family progress, sort of finding their ways towards each other, and then it's intercut to sort of his conversations with you and reflections on basically what we just saw or what we're about to experience. At what point did you record that interview with him, and at what point did you understand that now you have to actually become a character in your own film, or a hero in your own film?
I recorded this conversation with Serhiy after he separated from the family, but I decided to cut the film the way that it's hinting on what's going on or what is going to happen. And I wanted it to be not the explanatory one, but the one based on emotions, the one based on intonations. For me, it's not a classical interview. It's more like a dialogue where he gets his voice. He's confronting me. And at some point during this conversation recording, he said that he doesn't feel comfortable with the camera. To what I replied, then please film me. So I have the footage of myself speaking and him speaking, but we tried to keep it authentic, not to edit it too much, like to use the actual dialogue. Sometimes you see like the look of one person at another person, and we mirror our gestures. Like there was a moment when he was like, I felt that he's going to cry. And I felt also that this non-verbal language is somehow mirroring, like we are mirroring each other. Okay, we are different people. I will never get that sense of how overwhelmed he is. But I also, when I was watching this footage of him speaking, I couldn't edit it for like years because I was constantly crying by watching this footage of him speaking. And it had to take some time for me. That's why we are releasing the film now, but it's still topical, I hope.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If I may ask, I don't know at what point did you come to realize that this interview has taken place? And I know obviously the movie highlights sort of the realities that those who are coming back from the war zones back into their families, kind of adjusting to the new lives or not finding the ways to adjust. And I think it's incredibly vital that you're here traveling with the movie as well, and you're able to share your side of the story and those who are lucky enough to attend your events and meet you as well. But how could you share sort of like your feelings of like how was it for you to sort of experience maybe this movie for the first time in its full form, including obviously Serhiy's reflections on how he was feeling in all of this very intimate conversation?
Насправді це було дуже важко. Я бачила фільм лише другий раз, але вперше на великому екрані. І я думала, що я буду окей після перегляду. Але ні. Мені було дуже важко. Все одно це чіпляє мене. І я, чесно кажучи, до сих пір не розумію, як Лесі вдалося зробити це, скажімо так, інтерв'ю з чоловіком. І воно мені дало також багато, тому що, знаючи основні правила спілкування з військовими, звичайно, я не допитувала чоловіка, типу, а скільки там ти вбив, а що ти почував, що ти відчував, що ти бачив і так далі і тому подібне. Да? Тобто, я вичікувала моменту, коли він готовий буде цим поділитися сам. На жаль, я не дочекалася цього моменту. Навіть зі своїми близькими друзями, на той момент атовцями, да, тобто учасниками бойових дій, чоловік не ділився цим. І для мене це було надзвичайно відверто, надзвичайно чуттєво. Тобто, вкотре я розуміла, що йому важко, але глибину цього, напевно, таки я не усвідомлювала. На жаль, мій чоловік не приймав і досі не приймає допомоги психологів. Якби це було, то в нас би була трішки інша історія. Тому, як на мене, Леся зробила просто неймовірну річ. На той момент мені здається, що це була єдина сесія з психологом. Це інтерв'ю, це єдина сесія з психологом для мого чоловіка. І так само діти після перегляду фільму, особливо середній син, він один з таких більш чутливий, йому було дуже боляче, тому що, по-перше, він вже старший, звісно, так, і він усвідомлює так само ту глибину болю, який проживає його тато. І йому дуже важко. Зараз дуже великий вплив має те, що діти не бачили свого тата вже 3 роки, так? І це набагато, це подвоює, взагалі помножує цей біль. Вони дуже сумують за ним і дуже хочуть поговорити. Знову таки, чоловіку легше говорити один на один, так, в живому спілкуванні, і навіть телефон наразі не допомагає вирішити цю проблему, тому що, ось так, він людина старої закалки, так, і йому важко спілкуватися через телефон, навіть через камеру. Хоча, звісно, я знаю, що він любить дітей, він страшенно за ними сумує, і якби вони були поруч, я переконана, що їхні розмови були би довгими, і більше того, вони так само були для нього терапевтичними.
I guess one last question to wrap up on. Obviously, we're here on a mission. You're not only telling, I can't tell you how timely this story right now is. Our mission here is to amplify the vibrant Ukrainian voices through film. We're portraying what the truth that's happening in Ukraine through various angles, and mental health is one of those topics that historically hasn't been discussed or has been avoided in sort of our Ukrainian society, but obviously through initiatives that you've been part of volunteering for and the research that you've done, sort of, can you talk about how the relationship between Ukrainian society to mental health has changed? Are there any sort of steps that we're taking forward to make sure that our people who are coming back from the front lines, so we can support them as much as we can?
Yes, of course, there is a positive dynamic in mental health awareness. For the last year in a creative agency where I worked in Ukraine, it's called One Health. I was a project manager who was coordinating partially the communications of mental health for Ukraine. And it was like, of course, completely different experience back then. But now I feel that the veterans, they are more brave to say to their comrades, to their colleagues, that let's use this chance, let's ask for help. Especially the ones who actually lost their families, who separated from their families, they realized that it's actually damaging their relationships, and they are entitled to live a different life. And I often read the texts from people who came back from war and who share actually how the psychiatrists supported them, how the therapists supported them. Of course, it's very difficult to find a therapist who is good match for you. And it's like a long way to build this expertise for Ukraine as a country, like to train the army of mental health professionals. There are a lot of exchange programs nowadays, a lot of rehabilitation centers opened. There is even move in the Ukrainian law who finally voted for the law dedicated to mental health support of war veterans. But still, it's like a breaking point. We are somewhere at the breaking point. I don't know. When I spoke to Serhiy, he shared some negative experience of his comrades who spoke to the psychologist, and that help wasn't the best help for them. I personally had 7 therapists before I found the right one for me. And I respect this work of a psychiatrist or a therapist a lot, because these people are bearing someone's pain and they need the recovery after it. They need also special programs, so it's like very much interconnected. But what I want to say is, okay, on the governmental level it's very slow, but we can do something on the level of communities. Like Nadiia said, when she was living in Kyiv, they were trying to build a community of wives who support each other. The same we can do in different cities in Ukraine, like in Rivne region where I'm from, in Mykolaiv, Dnipro, Sumy, Kherson, like all our cities, they have some non-governmental organizations established already. They have activists, they have veterans returning home, and we need to look into this like local context. What can we do as a community? Okay, the state doesn't provide financial support, doesn't attach a psychologist to the war veteran who comes back, but maybe we can do something as a community, like maybe people can organize and take care of children for war veterans have families while the couple is trying to work on their relationships. Like little steps could be very beneficial, and all these ideas are so much appreciated. I want to, I don't know, it's very ambitious, of course, and it's very expensive, but I have a dream, like to teach war veterans to speak about their experience through film. We have a lot now filmmakers on the front line, and they will come back and they will tell their stories. But for me, the stories of people who experienced it with their own hearts, who were there, are tremendously important, and I think that all of them needs to be heard. And filmmaking is very effective because you take a distance from your pain. Okay, you are working with a camera, you are very disciplined, you need to change settings, you need to see the light is correct, and this is distracting your mind. Education, it's education in a way. We spoke about with Nadiia yesterday that her children now in Canada, they have a chance to feel slightly better because they are integrating in different communities. They are studying English, other subjects. They are studying in schools in Canada, and it is great for them. Of course, it's not the case of kids in Ukraine whose studying is being constantly interrupted. But, well, I really hope that the following year, that we will stand this year with dignity. All of this is so meaningful to us.
Absolutely.
All these drops in the ocean will make the ocean of change.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, again, thank you so much for being here, for again opening your hearts, opening your truly personal lives. It takes great strength, and it's incredibly inspiring and empowering as well. And so I hope that with each screening, with each conversation, there's more and more people who are changing, they're also opening up their minds, and I hope that we all work together towards, you know, helping rebuild also our society once the war is over, to make sure that we have systems in place that are helping our people to find way to their happiness as well. So thank you so much for being here with us. Друзі, make sure that you're keeping an eye on the documentary. This is also a big thank you to institutions, art institutions like MoMA and Fortnight, who are highlighting Ukrainian stories and making them part of the lineups. It's incredibly crucial to make sure that Ukrainian voices are heard on international stages like the one in here in New York. So thank you.
Thank you.